Hello and welcome to Rugged Reason. In this episode, what I want to focus on is some of my financial hacks. I'm going to be making a series of these types of videos, so I'm going to really start out with kind of the concepts that I think can help people. But just to tell you what's going to be in this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story and some of the stuff I went through. I'm going to tell you about kind of the financial hacking concepts and minimalism that I think are important if you're struggling. And this video is really for, students, young people, anyone who's having financial trouble ultimately. And again, this will be like one of the early episodes in a series, and then also I'm going to be putting out a course that's going to go into real detail to help you figure things out and give you lots of advice and secrets and hacks and things that I've developed over many years. So to get started, again, I'm Anthony with Rugged Reason. So my story, just real quick, when I was in college, I really didn't have any kind of, real financial support, and I was having to pay rent while go to school full time, and and then when I eventually graduated, I didn't get a job in my field right away, and I actually moved to a different state, and I was struggling there, and I didn't really know anybody. And I just had to find ways to do things extremely cheaply with, the kind of entry-level jobs, side jobs that I was getting. I've been in tight situations actually a few different times. Before I'd gone to college, I actually moved to Hawaii, and I lived there for about a year. And when I was there, also I was, pretty much on my own, and I had some savings, but I kind of burned through that pretty quickly and was having to find ways to do things, very cheaply and economically. And I've just developed all of these tricks that I want to share with people that I think can be a lot of help to people that are in those situations. But also since then, I've learned a lot about how to build wealth, coming out of those types of situations once you can, survive them and move on. So I kind of have a very broad understanding of financial well-being and hacks. And basically I'm going to take you through that whole process throughout this series. And then in my course, we'll have much more details and more of the hacks and secrets. So, to kind of qualify my point there, because I can tell you I've been through a lot of stuff, and I discovered these hacks and things, but I want to actually provide you some today. But I also want to, give you some conceptual framework about how you think about money in a kind of different way than a lot of other financial teachers will teach, because a lot of times they already have a lot of money and they're teaching people how to build it, or they can't really relate to people that are in tough situations. So to get started, one of the things that I think it's important to understand is the contracts that you make. Now, I'm going to get more into the philosophy of that in other videos when it comes to political stuff and some religious things. But essentially, you're making agreements, financial agreements all the time for things that you perceive that you need. One of them being you sign a lease for an apartment. Now, that's a commonly it's a common thing that people are expected to do, to have, to pay, or, get a mortgage and buy a house, things like that. It's we're trained that this is how life goes and this is what you do when you get to certain points. But what people don't realize is what they're agreeing to and what it really costs them and what they're really getting out of it. So when you're in a situation where you don't have a lot of money, and you take on like, usually the largest expense people take on is like rent for an apartment. Now, if you think about what you're getting from paying to rent an apartment, or if you somehow get a mortgage on a house, but let's just stick with apartment as for now. Essentially, all that money that you're paying, if you don't have a mortgage or you're not, paying like doing rent to own to get something, is money that's just out the window. Like you lose that money, and what you got was access to this space for a certain amount of time. And what did that space provide you? It's provided you, and this is first principles. So, what Elon Musk talks about with first principles and, physics, but this thinking will help you in finance. So what you're paying for is a place to be able to shower and get cleaned up. So a bathroom. You're paying for a kitchen, a place to be able to prepare food, cook food in like an oven or microwave, or, you have a countertop sink. So that is what you're getting out of it. You're getting a living room, so a place you can sit to enjoy entertainment, to relax, maybe have a drink, and then a bedroom. So you're getting a place to sleep and a safe place to sleep essentially. And if you have like a 2-bedroom, you might have an office, or some people will put an office in their bedroom, or a desk. So you have like a place to work, maybe do homework or focus on a project. So if you take all of those benefits, which are like, whittled down to like the first principles of what you're paying for. It's like this is what you're agreeing to give your money away to get. Now, that, because of how, the supply and demand works and how expensive apartments are or have become, because, they essentially price them based on like the max that people can afford given like the jobs that are available. So for a lot of people who aren't earning a lot of money, it becomes like the majority of the money they make for these basic necessities. Now, we're trained in society to believe that you have to have these things, that it defines your status, or whether you're a normal person, or whether you're doing well, or however you want to look at it. It's a social construct. It's an expectation that that's something that you have and that you do. But it's a really stupid financial decision, because essentially, again, all that money is being thrown out the window. So in finance, there's what's called assets and liabilities. Assets are things that, essentially earn you money. They're also arguably things that just hold value. So, a piece of land can be an asset, even if it's not, you're not renting the land to make a rent off of it. Just owning it is like, it's like owning a piece of gold. It's like a physical asset. A liability is something that costs you money, and you're losing that money, and you're not really getting anything back. So rent is a liability. It is a money suck. And the benefits that you're getting are fleeting, because once you use the apartment and you sleep and you make food and you sit on your couch, you then lose what you got for that money. And the next month, if you don't pay the rent, you don't get to do that anymore. So you're just getting access. And that is a huge waste. So the reason I'm starting with this is because it is the biggest expense that people are wasting their money on. So there's a number of different ways that people have gone about hacking their way out of these things. And what's important is that you remember those core things that I told you were getting out of it. Because if you can get those, or provide them to yourself in a much cheaper way, then you still have the comforts and things that you need, but you can then save that money or invest it into things that are assets, that are going to make you money, or investments. Or you're going to possess something as a result of it. So rather than throwing it out the window, you're getting something. And if you're getting something that can eventually be leveraged to earn you money, which is really what a real asset is, it's something that's bringing in money, then you can get to a place where you're generating passive income. And then you can make money when you're not even working. And the more passive income you can produce, the less you have to work for your money to pay for these necessities that you need. So really the end goal of, your finances is to be financially independent, which is to have enough passive income to be able to live the comfortable life that you want without having to intervene with work or earning. It can, depending on the lifestyle you want, this can take longer and require more money to generate, but you can definitely get there. And that should be the goal. So back to the apartment example. So what are some examples of some things that you can do to provide yourself with those necessities without needing to pay rent? So my tiny home conversion thing is an example of something like that. If somebody made that their residence and they went through the process and were able to live in a tiny house and they were paying their money to get ownership of it, so they were paying into an asset, in a few years they won't owe anything anymore, and they will own that building and they will own the land, and then it's a return because now they have a place, they have all those necessities taken care of, and they aren't having to lose any money, and therefore you have whatever money you can earn and whatever passive money that you're able to generate as well coming in, and that all becomes expendable, which, I mean, arguably you want to reinvest into cash flow producing assets, but the point is that that's why the tiny home thing is such a great idea. I mean, there are other solutions people have come up with, like van life, and living out of cars or things like that. I think the van conversions are really kind of the better idea. If you're not going to go tiny house, doing a van conversion, even like a minivan where you have like a foldable, mattress that had like a memory foam mattress that then you can kind of stow away, and then you have an area for where you can cook, or at least you have the things that you can cook with, and like even if you went to like a park or something and cooked your food or whatever, and then you have a place where you can relax, like a comfortable, let's say like beanbag chair or something with a small TV. I mean, all the necessities that you need. Now, that might not be a sustainable way to live that you want to do forever, but when you're young or you're trying to improve your financial situation, hacks like this are amazing, because if you can stick it out and you can find a way to adjust and be comfortable in that while you build up your assets and your cash flows, which, now because you're not wasting your money on the rent and it's just going out the window, that money can be redirected over here. And if you're smart with it, you can get to a point where you can have, I mean, if you want an apartment or like a house that, you can pay for more easily out of your cash flows. So, and then some of the, that's an example, I guess, of, using first principles to kind of reduce your costs, which is really the point of what I want to get across here, is like, that's one of the biggest expenses that people waste on, that, if you can find an alternative way to live comfortably and save and be able to invest is amazing. But the point is really minimalism and cutting wasteful spending. So, people don't realize how much money they waste on things that they think that they need, and going through and trying to eliminate costs and find ways to replace what it is that you need. Like, if you need food, do you really need to go out to a restaurant, or do you really need to go to get fast food, which is not healthy and also expensive? Or can you source like inexpensive vegetables and food somewhere that you cook on your own and save yourself a ton of money every month? It's things like that. It's cutting costs, because waste is a thief.
Efficiency is priority number one, people, because waste is a thief. I showed this already to my man here. You liked it, didn't you?
You can swallow a pint of blood before you get sick.
And it's stealing from you. And there's whole industries that are designed to get you to waste because they're profiting off your waste. the apartment industry is profiting off of you, getting access to this box that they're going to have for, 100 years. And they're, milking it, and they're not losing anything except time of access to that space, which they built for the purpose of renting to you. So the point is, minimalism is an amazing thing for people who are trying to improve their financial situation. And I highly recommend learning about it, finding ways that you can live smaller, achieve the things, the real goal of what you need in a cheaper way. So, back to the apartment thing, let's say you were living in a van or something, which, some people, again, that's like a status thing. It sounds bad, but you could make it very nice, very pretty, very comfortable, and, find ways, like you could even rent a piece of land so you have privacy and you have space, and you could set up like a picnic table and, like a big tent or something that you can make into a room so you feel like you have more area. The point is, it's all about how you go about, there's kind of an art to it. You go about making it, comfortable and good, and realizing that there's a long-term benefit and that you have a goal. So, back to that example, let me give you another one. So you need to be able to shower, right? So where are you going to shower if you're in a van? You could get like a camping shower. I've seen heated, propane camping showers that you can get, and you could shower outside. Maybe you're not comfortable with that. Well, one thing that I highly recommend doing, this is one of my hacks, which will be in the course, but I'm just going to give you, some free value here, is to just get a gym membership, because what that provides you is multiple things. And a lot of times you can get them pretty cheap. I mean, there's places as cheap as $10, like Planet Fitness. I would recommend going a couple steps up from that, just so it's a little more comfortable, and they usually have better amenities, like saunas and things like that. But, you can go to the gym, exercise, which is good for your long-term health, which I will also be doing some videos on anti-aging and health. But exercise is very important. So, if you're killing multiple birds with one stone, it's really worth the cost. So if you are paying for a gym membership and you're able to go exercise whenever you want, and then also you're able to shower and keep clean, and have that, part of what you would normally get from the apartment, for a fraction of the cost, right? And then let's say, okay, you need to cook. So how are you gonna cook? You could get like a little single burner propane camping stove and some pans, and if you go to the park, you can cook things. Or you could get a air fryer, and as long as your car's on, or however you're generating power, you can, as long as it can run it, you can just air fry up some stuff that you buy. I mean, things like that. So it's like, find the necessities that you need, and like the core of it, the first principles of what you're being provided, and then find ways to reduce the cost of that. And then obviously eliminate waste, because a lot of people waste money on going to restaurants and things, and buying clothes they don't need, because that's all liability. That's all money out the window. So essentially, the way I want you to think is more like minimalistic. What is the smallest version of what it is that you need? The cheapest, most efficient version of what it is that you need. And cut your costs so that you can save. There's something that's called the 50, 20, 30 rule. I believe that's what it is. And it's, you spend 50% of your money on necessities, 30% or 20% on like entertainment or things you don't need, and then 30% on savings. Now, I might have that mixed up. It might be the other way, but I would suggest making it that way, because it's better to have more savings and more that you're putting away for investing than that you're wasting on liabilities going out or whatever. However, if you approach the things that you need this way, you're the part of your income that is then like discretionary spending and savings expands. Like rather than spending 60% of your money on rent, which is what's typical, which is why the 50, 20, 30 rule exists, is because they kind of consider that being mandatory. What I'm saying is take this, whittle that down as low as you can. Then you've got a much bigger piece here to work with, which can also arguably improve your quality of life. So if you reduce your necessity down to 20%, like you're able to cook food, have a safe place to sleep, shower, all the things that you get from an apartment, and it's only taking 20%, now you have 80% to work with, which means if you wanted to, you could go out to eat sometimes and comfortably and more often, or you could travel, or however you wanted to allocate like a portion of that money. More would be available to you to do those things, and then more also is available for you to save and invest. So what I'm suggesting is kind of biting the bullet and taking, kind of an unconventional lifestyle, so that you can expand your discretionary spending, which can improve your quality of life. Like I'm saying, I'm sure it's not comfortable to sleep in a van or even like live in a tiny house that's a little more remote. Like there's downside to that. But the upside is that you do have more money that you can spend on entertainment or things that you want to do, or save and invest. And you're not just throwing money, you're throwing less money away for the basic necessities. So that is like kind of my starter to kind of my, financial hacks that I'm going to be providing to you. But I just highly recommend starting to think this way, starting to think about your agreements that you make and whether or not you need to have the things that you're agreeing to pay for, or if you can achieve them in more efficient, cheaper ways, in smaller ways, with the goal of long-term benefit of saving, investing, buying assets, building cash flows, with that being the goal. So, somebody might have a great apartment, they might go out on the weekends and it seems like they have a great life. As soon as they lose their job or their income is decreased, all of a sudden, all that stuff which depends on their constant cash flow coming in is just wiped out. So now they have to downgrade. Now they're forced into these situations, but they don't even know how to do it more efficiently. So people, a lot of times they get stressed out. They turn to drugs because they think that they have to live on the street, or they're like homeless, or they're, they have to live in like a terrible area, which isn't true. If if you just do like the van life thing, you could park in like the nicest area, or you could, like I said, get permission to park on someone's land somewhere that's safe and comfortable and not in the ghetto. Like the idea that the ghetto is like, and I don't mean that in an insulting way. What I mean is like, the impoverished parts of America. The reason that those places, or people go to those places, because of finances. But I mean, it's known to be dangerous. So if you're not a dangerous person, and there's no reason to be stuck there. Like you can, very inexpensively just leave, just go somewhere else. Do the van life thing, do the tiny house thing. Pay yourself by paying into assets, or just reduce your costs drastically, and then save and be smart with your money, with your investments, and try to build cash flows with however you can. Probably you might have to utilize debt, which is why I would recommend trying to improve your credit as much as you can. I'm not going to talk about everything here. This is already getting very long. But if I leave you with anything, it's just this. Do you need everything that you're paying for? Like, do a breakdown and see what the biggest cost is, and think of how you can reduce that and still get what you really absolutely need. Not creature comfort stuff, just what do you absolutely need. And again, a lot of times, you can actually come out on top and be comfortable. So I'll give you another kind of hack here. So I told you about the gym thing, but what I didn't tell you is there are very nice gyms. I would recommend using like Lifetime. They have a pool, they have water slides, they have hot tubs, they have a sauna. You know, you could take advantage of that, you know, during the day or at night or on the weekends. And you almost use it like as a resort. You can sit by the pool, you know. They don't like this, and I don't think it's necessarily allowed, but you could make yourself like a mixed drink, go sit by the pool on the weekend. You get like sunshine and the resort experience, and it doesn't cost you any more than what you're already paying for what you need. So, you know, your lifestyle also doesn't necessarily have to be degraded to where you're uncomfortable. You can actually have a very comfortable and nice lifestyle. It's unconventional for sure, but you know, you can find ways to make it, you know, pleasant. And, you know, if you just keep in mind that you have a goal and you know what your goal is, it won't last forever that you're in that situation either. It's temporary. Just remember that and make sure you stick to, you know, what you're trying to do and in terms of building cash flows and savings and investments, and focus on that. Otherwise, you know, you don't want to get necessarily like stuck in that lifestyle or feel like, you know, you have to be there forever. It's really like a stepping stone to build something that allows you to get passive income and build cash flows that otherwise you wouldn't have the time to do, which is another part of this whole thing. You know, you can also reduce the amount of work, which increases your time to be able to focus on projects like building cash flows if you have lower expenses. So if your rent is this big and your pay is this big, you're having to have that full-time job to keep maintaining this. However, if you reduce this down to 20% and your costs, your basic costs of living are lower, you can have to work less just to have those basic needs, which frees up time. And most wealthy people will tell you time is the most valuable thing. So if you have more time, you can spend more time learning about like things on the internet, like how you create a drop shipping store or you know, something like that. You can learn how to make your money work for you with smart investments that you can make because you have the time. Like that time is invaluable, and I would use it to learn about financing, to learn you know, about you know, improving your situation and finding tools that can help you. So that's another benefit to reducing that cost is time. And time is money. So, you know, I'll go further into this. Again, I'm making this way too long, but just start to think this way. I'm going to have a lot more financial tips and financial hacks that I think are going to help you a lot, especially if you're in a tough situation, which this is really for you. You know, I went through a lot. I had to struggle through a lot of these things, and I'm trying to help people. So, you know, if you get anything out of this, great. Again, I'm going to have like a consolidation of all this information in my, you know, financial hacks course, which is not ready yet, but I will post that link in this video in the description when it is. So just watch for that. You know, comment to me. Let me know if you're interested. I'll, you know, try to get you like a pre-order link as soon as I can. But yeah, that's going to have so much information. And I just want to help people not be stuck and not, you know, be so stressed by their financial situation, especially young people, because it's really hard going from like your parents taking care of everything to you having to take care of everything, and you've never had to do that before. So that's like a new stress that's really high for like younger people, which I'm very aware of. And these types of hacks will just, you know, take the stress off. I think it will help people, you know, prevent addictions and bad decisions and all kinds of things, and could, you know, really help your life. So please, you know, subscribe, like this video, watch for these financial hack videos. They're going to be off and on. Again, this channel, I will focus on tiny home, you know, off-grid, you know, off-grid homestead building, filmmaking and filmmaking equipment reviews, some political and philosophical commentary, but then also these will come around. So if you're interested in this specific type of content, just watch for it. I'm going to be organizing everything into playlists in the future, so you should be able to just go to my channel and then find the playlist that's specifically for financial hacks, and I'll just have a ton of these types of videos. So I hope this helps you. I hope it taught you something. And again, please like and subscribe. And this is Rugged Reason. Stay rugged, keep your reason, and that's it.